بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. We continue our discussion about ideas, thoughts, intentions that come to our mind and may not be put into practice, whether they would be causing blame or punishment or not. We already had one session and now we want to continue. This is based on the book Al-Mhajjat al-Baydaa, volume 5, page 75. The discussion started from page 73. So, what Ghazali says here, and Mullah Muhsin Faith mentions also, is something that we normally study in philosophy and also in usul. Sometimes we have a discussion about talab wa irada, about how we make our will, our decisions. But he has brought it into moral discussion. And because there are lots of different concepts and terms, so I thought it's good to have it on the screen and you can also follow it up yourself. فَالْحَقُّ فِي هَذِهِ الْمَسْأَلَةِ with respect to the question of how we should put conflicting verses and hadiths together, some suggest that those thoughts and ideas which are inside, hidden, they're not questioned. Some say everything, even if it is hidden, would be questioned. So he says, الحق في هذه المسألة عندنا أنه لا يوقف عليه ما لم يقع الإحاطة بتفصيل أعمال القلوب. He says the right position in this issue, according to us, cannot be understood unless we have a detailed discussion about actions of the heart. أعمال القلوب. Even heart has actions, like intention. Intention is one action of the heart. من مبدأ ظهورها إلى أن يظهر العمل على الجوارح. From the beginning of heart action, having action, functioning, there are different stages. And the last stage is that you do something by your hand or foot or eye, with your organs. But there are different stages in what heart is doing. So, فَنَقُولُ, let's expand on this and detail out. أول ما يرد على القلب الخاطر. The very first thing that happens to your heart, al-khatir. Al-khatir means الذي يخطر, an occurrence. An idea come to your heart. Of course, here when we say heart, it includes mind as well. Okay? كما لو خطر له. I am sorry that I have to explain this example. Suppose there is a person, a man, who is thinking, all of a sudden, it comes to his mind that there is a beautiful woman behind me. لو خطر له مثلا صورة امرأة. It occurs. The image of a woman. وأنها وراء ظهري في الطريق. So, because if just comes to his mind in a very general way, he is not doing anything. But it comes to his mind that right now, if I turn back, there is a, for example, woman here, beautiful woman. لو التفت إليها لرآها. If he turns towards that person, would see. So this is the first step. We call it al-khatir. It occurs. Okay? It occurs to the person. Maybe it's, you can, for example, imagine food. Someone, for example, thinks of food, or sometimes thinks of a wild animal. It can be anything that can trigger you. It's anything for which you have a desire to go towards or to run away. Positive, negative, something that occurs. والثاني هيجان الرغبة. In a sense, this example is good for people who may suffer from, bad look and sinful, glance or gazing. The second thing is هيجان الرغبة إلى النظر. After this comes to his mind, a kind of eagerness, a kind of yearning, a kind of desire is now in him for looking. الرغبة إلى النظر. Okay? So the first thing was خاطر. The second is هيجان الرغبة. وهو حركة الشهوة التي في الطبع. In the nature, in the tab, in our nature, there is something that is now triggered. Okay? It's stimulated, it's excited. وهذا يتولد من الخاطر الأول. The second comes to existence from the first idea which occurred. وَنُسَمِّيهِ مَيْلَ الطَّبْعِ. This is the inclination of nature, human nature. Okay? الأول يسميه حديث النفس. يسمى حديث النفس. The خاطر, you can also call it حديث النفس. We had it last session. Means internal conversation, something that you speak to yourself. Then the third thing is, after the idea comes to your mind, and after there is a desire produced, the third thing is hukmul qalb. Then there is a verdict. The heart here makes a verdict. بأن هذا ينبغي أن يفعل. That this should be done, or this shouldn't be done. It can be verdict to do it or not to do it. You have to analyze all these stages. It's not that just by occurring something happens. Occurring may produce yearning, and yearning would lead to heart making a decision. ينبغي أن يفعل. For example, here ينبغي أن ينظر إليها. Says I should look at that woman. فإن التبع إذا مال لم تنبعث الهمة والنية ما لم يندفع السوارف. So when there is inclination in nature, after that decision, intention for doing is produced, unless there is obstacle. Sawarif. Sawarif means those things that prevent obstacles. For example, sometimes it occurs to the mind of this person and the desire might be produced, but the heart would not make the decision to look at back. Why? Because he has haya. This haya, this positive shame, okay, the modesty that he has stops him looking back and seeing that woman. Haya. Or sometimes there is no haya, it's khawf. So, if I look back, and then, pardon? Yes, maybe that woman or someone would realize and get angry. So some people, when they are seen, when they are noticed, they are careful. But if they are not seen, there is no haya. So, if there is no obstacle like haya or khawf, fear, then he decides to do it. Sawarif. Sawarif is the plural for sarafa, means something that takes him away, prevents him. Sarafahu means like an obstacle. So doesn't let him look at that person, changes his mind. وَعَدَمُ هَذِهِ السَّوَارِفِ. And when these obstacles that prevent are not there, sometimes it's بِتَأَمُّلٍ. Sometimes there is no obstacle. These are very beautiful points. Sometimes there is obstacle, but you ignore it. Unfortunately, when we want to do something, we are able to close our eyes and ignore. Sometimes we have so much interest in doing something that we ignore the problems. So even, people who commit murder, for example, they know everywhere there is camera, or they know that murder is going to be found out sooner or later. But at that time, they are so angry, or they are paid whatever, their, greediness, that they say, no one is going to know. They know that there is a big risk, but unfortunately, when you want to do something, you can forget facts. Like, for example, when we know something is harmful for our health, but we really want to do it. For example, I know smoking is very bad, but if I am used to smoking, I ignore the facts. So, he says, عدم هذه السوارف ربما يكون بتأمل. Non-existence of obstacles is sometimes with a kind of reflection, means you exercise some power by your aql, but in the wrong direction. You use aql to ignore facts. Okay? This is called aqidah. So you make a kind of decision intellectually that this is good to do or this is bad to do. وَهَذَا نُسَمِّيهِ هَمًّا بِالْفِعْلِ. This is what we call ham. لَقَدْ حَمَّتْ بِهِ وَحَمَّ بِهَا لَوْلَا أَنْ رَأَى بُرْهَانَ رَبِّهِ. This ham is different from ham in Arabic. Sometimes we say ham and we mean by ham concern. Okay? Grief. Ham here is what it comes also after that. Niyya, qasd. So, first, something occurs. Second, a desire and inclination is produced. Then after that, a kind of decision, a kind of i'tiqad is there. Then after, and also there is a problem here in punctuation. Be careful not to misread. هو على كل حال حكم من جهة العقل ويسمى هذا اعتقادا وهو يتبع الخاطر والميل. Comma should be after mail. So first was khatir, second was mail. This is the third aqidah. Finished. Ar-rabi'. After this, then we have tasmimul azm ala al-iltifat wa jazm al-niyyat bil-fi'l. The fourth is that you decide to do it and you have the intention of do it. And هذه الهمة قد يكون لها مبدأ ضعيف. This is also a very beautiful point. Sometimes in the beginning for this decision there was little power. You know, when an idea comes to your mind, like for example here, for this young person, for example, who is under pressure, so it occurred that maybe there is a beautiful woman behind me. Initially, it just occurred. But when he keeps thinking about it, so you yourself are giving energy to this, you know, like a weapon against yourself. The more you think about it, the more powerful it becomes. Yes.
You know, when it comes to the thoughts, right? Are we trying to reach a stage where we can eliminate these thoughts, or is it where we control them? So, for example, Imam Al-Qadhi, he was, they tried to tempt him, I believe, with a woman in the prison cell.
Yes.
So, can we say that the thoughts came to his mind and then he used his heart to turn away from it, or did the thoughts not come to his mind whatsoever? Just so I understand what I'm trying to reach towards.
It depends. Sometimes you are in a position that there is no temptation for it. Okay? For example, maybe for some people who are addicted to alcohol, when they think of alcohol, they are excited. For us, there is no excitement in alcohol. Yeah? Or someone, for example, who is addicted to smoking, when he looks, for example, a picture of cigarette or thinks about it, for us there is no. Some of the things are things that we naturally may have tendency, okay, like attraction to the opposite sex. But you might be in a state that you are so busy with more important things that you don't have time to think about the thing, or you have no interest in these things. Like Imam Kazim alayhi salam, he was so busy with prayer and his connection with Allah that this was actually annoying him. I don't know if you have heard some people who have, for example, stopped smoking cigarette. Some of them say we are worried that we may start, but some of them say we hate cigarette. And if someone smokes in their presence, they feel very bad. So we can be different. We can be someone who doesn't want to do something and controls himself, or we can be someone who has no interest. But the main thing is that even if you are still attracted to this, the best thing is, as soon as it comes to your mind, don't think about it. Don't develop it, because it gets more energy from you against you. These ideas have no energy in themselves. They get from us and become powerful, and then it reaches a point that you think you cannot resist. Of course you can, but it becomes very difficult. Stop it in the first place. It's like a wild animal coming to our home, and we take him to the kitchen, we give him the best food, and then we want to fight against that wild animal. So you have to stop it in the first place. So, هذه الهمة قد يكون لها مبدأ ضعيف. Many times there is a weak origin for it. ولكن إذا أصغى القلب إلى الخاطر الأول. But when heart keeps listening, you know, in Arabic, asqa ila means to listen carefully. Yeah. So when you keep listening to this idea, means thinking about it. Okay. حتى طالت مجاذبته للنفس. Then it's engaging and attraction for soul becomes longer. تأكدت هذه الهمة. Then this becomes strong. So it was something that happened for a moment, and you could have ignored it. But if you know, like for example, in the months of Ramadan, you are hungry, and then it comes to your mind, you know, for example, to drink, yeah, or to go to the kitchen and to open the fridge. You know, there is, you know, for example, cold water, there is fruit. Okay, it comes to your mind. But you are fasting, so most of the time when we are fasting, we don't think about it. It's easier. But if you keep thinking about it, and you go, you are fasting, you open the fridge and, you know, start looking at them, smelling them, putting them back. So you torture yourself. Yeah? And maybe then you decide to say, okay, I, you know, break my fast and, you know, I then pay kafara. The best thing is not to torture yourself, not to test yourself. As soon as it comes to your mind, ignore it. It's much easier. حتى طالت مجاذبته للنفس تأكدت هذه الهمة. This decision, this intention becomes strong. وصارت إرادة مجزومة. Sometimes becomes a strong will that I should do it. فإذا جزمت الإرادة. Now he wants to talk about different possibilities of not doing action. So they are not all the same. So إذا جزمت الإرادة. Sometimes he says, I have to do it. Now he makes the, you know, decision to do it. But what happens is sometimes a blessing comes, you know, something happens that still he doesn't do it. So he wants to do it, all of a sudden he changes his mind. ربما يندم بعد الجزم فيترك العمل. Sometimes after he makes the decision, he regrets I said, no, I don't want to do this. Okay? So he yatrukul amal. He leaves aside that action. وَرُبَمَا يَغْفُلُ بِعَارِضٍ. So, he is fasting, he goes, makes food for himself, puts on the table, he wants to eat, his father comes home, or his, I don't know, mother comes home. So, he didn't regret, but something happened. He makes his mind different. Or someone phones and speaks 1 hour. By the time he finishes the phone, it's iftar. So there are different ways of not doing this. They are not all the same. So ربما يندم بعد الجزم. He himself regrets. فيترك الفعل. ربما يغفل بعارض. He becomes heedless because something has happened and has diverted his attention. فلا يعمل بها. ولا يلتفت إليه. He doesn't pay attention to it. Something happened, a phone call, something, he forgot. ربما يعوقه عائق. An obstacle happened. Someone came, or the food was burnt. فيتعذر عليه العمل. Then it's impossible for him to do it. So فها هنا أربعة أحوال للقلب. So we have 4 conditions for heart قبل العمل بالجارحة. Before doing something with your hand or leg or eye or ear. So before, jaraha means organs. Without doing something with organs of your body, physically, 4 conditions are there for your heart. Al-khatir, the first thing is khatir, the idea that occurs. وَهُوَ حَدِيثُ النَّفْسِ. This is the internal conversation, something you tell yourself, Second, al-mail, inclination, desire. ثم al-i'tiqad, you say this is good to be done or good not to be done. ثم al-ham, decision. Now, he says, each of these might be different with respect to whether they should be questioned or not. أما الخاطر, that very first thing that comes to your mind, you are not going to be questioned because of that. أما الخاطر فلا يؤخذ به. You will not be going to be held responsible for that. Okay? لأنه لا يدخل تحت الاختيار. Because this is not something that you freely can do it or stop it. Something comes to your mind. Of course, if you train yourself, you can make these things less happening. Yeah? So it's not totally out of our control, but to some extent, yes, it comes by itself. So the first is not questioned. وَكَذَلِكَ الْمَيْلُ وَهَيَجَانُ الشَّهْوَةِ. When that idea comes to your mind, you are stimulated or excited or motivated in a sense that a desire is developed. That also is not under your control. This is your nature. When you are hungry and there is food, you think of eating. Or when you are thirsty, there is water, you are thinking of drinking. And he says these 2, al-khatir and al-mail. These two are meant by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this hadith. Urfiya an ummati ma haddathat bihi nufusuha. My nation, my ummah, are forgiven with respect to those things that they speak to themselves internally. Those ideas or those, desires, as long as they are kept to this limit, they are forgiven. فَحَدِيثُ النَّفْسِ عبارة عن الخواطر التي تهجس في النفس. Those ideas that happen in your nafs, in yourself, your soul, ولا يتبعها عزم على الفعل, but it's not followed by decision to do it. Okay, it just has occurred, has triggered some desire, but you have not made decision to do it. أما العزم والهم فلا يسمى حديث النفس. But if you make the decision to do it, this is not called hadith or nafs. It's more than hadith. Hadith is an internal conversation. You tell yourself, I should do it, I shouldn't do it, This is hadith or nafs. But when you make the decision, this is not hadith or nafs. بل حديث النفس كما روي عن عثمان ibn Maz'un. Then he mentions a conversation between Uthman ibn Maz'un and Rasulullah. And he says it seems that Uthman ibn Maz'un had not made any decision. He had some idea in mind, and therefore he asked Rasulullah for his opinion. He consulted Rasulullah. He still was in the state of thinking and evaluating, not making decision. He said to Rasulullah that, Ya Rasulullah, inna nafsi tuhaddithuni an utalliqa khawlah. He said, my nafs is telling me to divorce my wife. Because he wanted to have a very ascetic life, he wanted to have nothing from dunya. So he said, my nafs is telling me to divorce my wife. Rasulullah said, Mahlan, inna min sunnati an nikah. Mahlan means stop. Mahlan means stop. Stop. Marriage is from my sunnah. You should not divorce your wife. For getting spiritual, you don't divorce your wife. Okay? Then he said, Nafsi tuhaddithuni an ajiba nafsi. He said, my nafs tells me that I should make myself physically unable to have child and, to do any physical, activity, sexual activity. Rasulullah said, no. If you want to stop doing these things, for example, often fast, but don't make your physical health, damaged. Then he said, Nafsi tuhaddithuni, my soul, my nafs is telling me that I should atarahab, I should become rahib, to have ruhbaniyya. Rasulullah said, Rahbaniyatu ummati al-jihad wal-hajj. If you want to become rahib, the way for that is not, for example, to isolate yourself, is to go for hajj, for jihad, something difficult. Then he said, Nafsi tuhaddithuni an atruka al-lahm. My nafs tells me I shouldn't eat meat, only eat vegetables and be vegetarian. Rasulullah said, no, I love meat, and even according to this, of course, hadith, which is mentioned by Ghazali, he said, Rasulullah said, if I have meat every day, I would eat. And if I ask Allah to give me meat, He would give me meat. So you don't need to avoid meat for being a spiritual. So Ghazali says, look, here he's talking about hadithun nafs. But it shows that he had no serious decision. He had not made his mind. He was just thinking about these issues, and he presented to the Rasulullah, to the Prophet, and Prophet gave his idea. هذه الخواطر التي ليس معها عزم على الفعل. These ideas that occur and there is no intention and determination for doing it is hadithun nafs. وَلِذَلِكَ شَاوَرَ فِيهَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. And this is why then he consulted Rasulullah. إِذْ لَمْ يَكُنْ مَعَهَا عَزْمٌ وَحَمٌّ بِالْفِعْلِ. Because he didn't have determination or intention for doing it. So far, two things. Al-Khatir, we said this is not something you have control, you will not be questioned. Then we said Al-Mail, again this is not what you have control. Then Al-I'tiqad, وَحُكْمُ الْقَلْبِ بِأَنَّهُ يَنْبَغِي أَنْ يُفْعَلْ. If it is a bad thing. If it's a good thing, no problem. But if it's a bad thing and your qalb says you should do it. He says these are two types. مُرَدَّدٌ بَيْنَ أَنْ يَكُونْ اضْطِرَارًا وَاخْتِيَارًا. Is your heart telling you you should do it and you have control over it? Then you have to be answerable. If you have no control, then you are not questioned about it. So from here, he is starting to create a space for being responsible from Aqidah. So, al-ikhtiyari minhu yu'akhadhu bih wal-istirari la yu'akhadhu bih. If it is something that you have no control and, without even being conscious of what you are doing, you make a decision, internal decision, that this is good. أما الرابع وهو الهم بالفعل. The fourth stage of the heart is to make the decision of doing that action. This is certainly going to be questioned. But if you don't do it still, then maybe you will be forgiven. Maybe you are not going to be punished. So now let's see how many types are here. We said sometimes you forget, sometimes you regret, sometimes an obstacle happens. There are many different. So he says, if bad thing comes to his mind, and then he starts loving it and having desire for it, and then he makes the decision that this is good and I should do it, and then he makes the intention of doing it, but still إن تركه خوفا من الله تعالى. Still at the very last stage, he doesn't do it out of fear. He has fear from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, no, I don't do it. وَنَدَمَ عَلَى هَمِّهِ. And even he regrets why I wanted to do this. كُتِبَتْ لَهُ حَسَنَةً. Then this is considered as a hasana, as a good action. Although this is not physical action, this is not amal bil jawari, but it's an action of the heart. It's a hasana because of heart here doing something out of fear from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لأن همه سيئة وامتناعه ومجاهدته نفسه حسنة. Because that intention was bad and he fought against his own decision. This is hasana. والهم على وفق الطبع لا يدل على تمام الغفلة عن الله. The fact that he made the decision of doing it doesn't mean that he's 100% heedless of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Still, there was a chance for him to wake up and stop. والامتناع بالمجاهدة على خلاف الطبع. He had to resist against temptations, against attraction. This is against the nature. Nature says, like animals, when the desire is triggered, you go after it. But you resist against your nature, and therefore, يحتاج إلى قوة عظيمة. It needs strong power. فجده في مخالفة الطبع هو العمل لله سبحانه أشد من جده في موافقته. So he decided to listen to Allah, and this side has become stronger than listening to shaitan. So he's more serious in listening to Allah than listening to shaitan. فكتبت له حسنة. Then this is considered as hasana. But it is very difficult hasana. It's better that when it occurs, you just ignore it, because it's like, for example, sometimes I use this example. For example, there is a road in mountains, and one side of the road is edge of a cliff, and you may fall over. A person who is wise always keeps distance from the edge. Yeah? So few meters away from the edge. A person who is not wise goes near the edge. A person who is mad says half of the tire can be on the edge, and still with half of the tire I control the car. Or says, let me send one tire, down, and then I bring it out. I am very good driver. I can bring it out. Why? It's better to keep away, because bringing the car out is very difficult. It's better to keep distance. Don't say, I am a strong person. No one can say I am a strong person, therefore I take risk. It's better not to take risk. فكتبت له حسنة لأنه رجح جهده في الامتناع. جهده في الامتناع. جهد means struggle. وحمه به على حمه بالفعل, because he gave preference to his struggle for not doing over decision for doing. وإن تعوق الفعل لعائق. But if the action was blocked, not because of خوف, the action was blocked because police came or someone came, أو تركه لعذر, or something happened that he didn't do it. لا خوفا من الله تعالى, not out of fear. كتبت عليه السيئة. Ghazali says, here then we cannot say because he has not done it, it's okay. He says this is a sayyah of the heart. فإن همه فعل من القلب اختياري. So we cannot say he has not done anything. It was just an intention. He says it's an action of the heart. So although he has not physically done it, but he made the intention and firm decision that I would do it, but then police came, or for example, he wanted to watch a bad movie, electricity went off, he couldn't see he says this is a sayyah because he has done something bad with his heart.
Sorry, what do the imams say about this? I know what Ghazali says.
Mullah Muhsin Faiz also here doesn't contradict with him. But for us it seems that, because we have the hadith that for bad intention there is no sin. But it seems very difficult issue. So, of course, we should ask, Maraja, because it's a fiqh issue. It seems that if someone has not done anything, then maybe it's forgiven. Although he deserves punishment. It's tajarri, it's forgiven. But if he has done something, for example, suppose he has paid for the ticket to go to cinema and watch a bad movie, but he couldn't go there because, for example, he became ill, but he has paid for the ticket. I think maybe here we can say still there is a sin. Although he has not watched the movie, but it's not just intention, it's more than intention. He has actually started the process. So this is my humble opinion, but we should ask Maraji.
In that case, after paying the ticket, he decides not to go with the khawf.
Then he has to repent. He has to repent. He cannot just say, okay, I haven't done anything. No, you have done something. Like for example, a person has purchased the gun, but has not killed. He cannot say, I didn't do anything. It seems it's a sin that he has purchased this gun for killing someone. So, I think maybe we can say, as long as no physical preparation, no action, external action for the sin is done, maybe we can say he's forgiven as tajarri. But if he has actually done something, then it's difficult. But if he asks for tawbah and he changes himself, Allah inshallah will forgive. Yes.
Second question about this third level, so third stage. So in the third stage, a person decides. He decides.
It's i'tiqad.
Yeah.
Yes.
He decides to do or not to do.
No. In the third, it's not decision. In the third is a judgment whether this is good to be done or it is not good to be done. So we call it in philosophy, we say tasdiq. So he says, I should do this as a not decision, as a whether this is good for me or bad for me.
While that stage, while making the decision in that stage, if he does, we said in the previous paragraph, he can not to do it because of khawf or the khawf of people, like not just.
That is afterwards. So basically, what happens is that if you go to other books, Ghazali has put it in this way. But if you go to philosophical books, what they say is that they say first is tasawwur. Something comes to your mind and you think about it. Then there is shawq. Then this shawq becomes strong, shawq mu'akkad. then you make tasdeeq, that this is what I should do. And then you have irada, that it's the last stage which moves your muscles to do something. So tasdeeq is after desire has become strong, before the final will or decision. And tasdeeq is something that, because we are rational, we should do. But unfortunately, we can manipulate. So you don't do anything unless you think it is good. But there are ways to make yourself think this is good. It's the problem. You know? So even those people who do bad things, when they are doing those bad things, they think they are doing good things. You know? Because unfortunately we can deceive ourselves.
There's one question I have got. I've heard in a riwayah from the Bimber, Osman bin Makhzoom, when he was being buried, the Prophet gave his own shirt for him to put as a coffin. And yet, when the Prophet went into the grave with him, and when he came out, people said, he said, blessed man. He said, no, wait. He said, a lot of punishment comes upon him, because he didn't treat his family well. Is it true?
It's for someone else.
Huh?
That's about someone else. About, yes, about having pressure of barzakh because of being angry with his family. Yeah.
So was that Osman bin Makhzoom or somebody else?
No, it was Ma'ath.
Ma'ad bin.
Yeah. It was from Ansar, one of the Ansar. So, let me just finish this part, and there is a question here. I come. Yeah. Just I finished the sentence. If I. Yeah, or maybe. Yes, just the last sentence. إن تعوق الفعل لعائق, if the action is stopped because of عائق. عائق means obstacle. أو تركه لعذر, or he doesn't act because of, again, a problem. لا خوفا من الله تعالى, not because he is God-fearing person and out of fear. كتبت عليه السيئة, this would be registered as a bad action, not action of body, action of heart. فإن همه فعل من القلب اختياري, means فعل اختياري من القلب. This decision is a free action of the heart, and therefore this is also something that would be taken into account. Inshallah, we continue this discussion next week. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.